Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Bertoli's host. Thank you so kind of being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today, as usual. I have a great interview with an activist who was pretty much, and the reason I decided to play this one now is because of what happened in Tennessee, where that guy was beaten up by 5 officers and murdered. I tell you, those officers have something coming to them because they don't qualify under the type of criminal justice system that we have for the leniency that others get. So they are going to get what's coming to them. I think Mr. Therese's name, ultimately, while not living to see the justice, will in fact get justice. Anyhow, welcome to the program. Eric Hayes is in the house. Lee Grant is in the house. Bridge MCP is in the house, as well as is Paul Fleming. El Senor Paul Fleming Sr. in the house. And we also have ABQ, Michael Rudnin. Michael Rudnin says, got new fiber optic internet upload is supposed to be 12 times faster, but that app I'm using, I haven't noticed it yet. When you get symmetric, which is what I have here as well with my cable, I have 1 gig up, 1 gig down. And you usually, the problem generally is not going to be on your side. It's actually going to be whether the person receiving your data can actually get it at the speeds you are able to transmit at. That is where the issue is going to be. Welcome aboard, brother Robert Davenport. Welcome to Politics Done Right, as well as E2247. Thank you guys all for being here. We're going to have a great show for you today. Okay, so yeah, congratulations on your new high speed, brother ABQ. All right, we also have in the house, let's see, Bridge says, Fulton County District Attorney Fannie T. Willis told a judge that a special grand jury report into the matter should remain sealed to protect the ongoing criminal investigation and the rights of potential defendants in the case. Saving charging decisions are imminent. In this case, the state understands the media inquiry and the world's interest, but we have to be mindful of protecting future defendants' rights. Willis said, it's not appropriate at this time to have this report. Wait, hold on. McCarthy plans to remove Omar from foreign. It has to pass the whole Senate, though. The whole Congress. Anyway, it's not appropriate at this time to have this report released, though Willis did not reveal the contents of the report. Her reference to potential defendants suggests that charges may be filed based in part on the jury's finding. What I hope they don't do, right, is continue to attack the little people. Like, that alternate slate? My gut feeling tells me they're gonna prosecute the alternate slate, but they need to also prosecute the organizers of the alternate slate who gave the possibility of there even being the existence of an alternate slate. Eric Hayes says, in fighting, let's see, Schiff should not lie about things and Swalwell should not have spies for mates. And Omar, that is just what it is. And what is it with Omar? Please tell me. It's amazing. You can't say what, right? You can't say why it is that he wants her off the foreign committee, right? You can't say why would he want the only African-born person who could give context to a foreign relations committee, right? You have a perspective from a born African that could give you perspective if you really want to have a foreign committee. But just for the help, well, you want to take them off. It shows the lack of seriousness when it comes to how Republicans would like to legislate. They don't want to know things to help in their legislation. They just want to do. Anyhow, Bridge says the House is doing what the extremists say. I don't care about the fallout right now, just what the extremists will do. There you go. The extremists are, well, that's what they are, extremists. Eric A. says 4 Pinocchios for Swalwell as he brought up Washington Post gave the rating. That's not true. It's there. I looked it up. You can yourself as well. So do it. Lee Grant says, hey all, how you doing, brother Grant? Eric, let's see, Paul Fleming says, DirecTV officially dumps Newsmax. It's not a Newsmax. It's a News Minimum or a News Lie. So I think that's a good idea. Bridge MCP says, great, Paul Sr. Robert Davenport says, stings progressives. Let's see. E2247 with his retort. Hello, relatives. Today is going to be the greatest ever. Visit as usual. Thank you, my brother. Yes, you are right. And we have Dems in-house must pay attention to new rules to live by, and they set the standards to go forward. It'll last a couple years, but you know what? A lot of Republicans will start teaming up with Democrats because they don't want to be labeled the nutcases. They hate on Representative Omar because she wears a hijab. You are so right about that, Mr. Davenport. You know, I don't know if you know, but out there first of all, I have always loved that woman. She carries herself with the necessary poise. You name it, she got it. And what I want to do is something special here because Ilhan Omar, let me see, but I think I may still have that interview that I did with her. Let's see if I have that interview. Claire, no, I should play that interview with you because she laid it out perfectly. Ilhan Omar did. If I can find that interview, it's probably on my G drive. Let's see if I can find that interview because I think it is perfectamente importante for what she had to say when she went ahead and said, you know, it's amazing that they're coming after me, right? Why are they coming after Ilhan Omar? Let's see if I'm going to try to find it for you because it was a solid interview. But anyhow, going on with the rest. Where is it? Come on, folks. Bear with me a second, people, as I find Ilhan. Let's see if I can do it this way. Ilhan. And this way I may be able to find it. There we go. I think that's it. And what I am going to do, and hopefully we can get it done, is to go ahead and here we go. I think I got it. By the way, I think I can. I want to play you guys this. It's relevant based on what Eric is saying here. Listen to her words. Representative Ilhan Omar, let me first tell you that as an immigrant myself, you are a hell of an honor to have representing us all in Congress.
Sweet. Where are you from?
I am from Panama, Central America. Okay. Now, I find it ironic that today, from those who many a times have been attacking you unfortunately for wrong reasons, are the ones that are putting our democracy at risk. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it is ironic, right? People who have said that I was un-American are truly now showing how un-American they are. They have contempt for our democracy, for our republic, for our constitution. And it just goes to show that immigrants really do represent the best of us. Like, no one really loves this country like people like myself and you and all of the immigrants.
We chose to be here.
And really feel extreme gratitude for our adopted home that has given us every opportunity that could be available to us.
Now, I think one of the problems we have is we have a problem getting our message out. And one of the reasons I do what I do as independent media is to ensure that your message and the message of many others is not misconstrued. It's not really twisted. Yeah. So my question to you is, what do you have to tell? I don't want you to speak to the choir. I want you to speak to the portion of my audience that is right wing, that really are not informed from somebody like me, but's informed by all the wrong people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what can I say to those folks? It's really important that people understand that, the American experiment is something that a lot of people have reference for. A lot of people really look up to it across the world. I grew up and was raised by a father and a grandfather that were born in colonized Somalia. Mm-hmm. All they wanted to do was participate in a democracy. And so we have an incredible opportunity in this country to have one of the greatest constitutions, to live in a country that has open society where you can actually shape, the outcome of your life in your own way. And I think I just want to remind people that, when the founding fathers developed the Constitution, they wanted us to continue to create a more perfect union. And every work that we do today, whether it is the expansion of access for people to the ballot box, or whether it is trying to make sure everyone has health care that they need so they're not going bankrupt because they got sick, or whether, it's like passing the legislation I passed to feed our babies' bellies before we feed their brains. All of those things really help create that more perfect union, and we have to be in it together as Americans in this country.
Couldn't have been said any better. One last question and I'm done. I know you're very tired from being out there. So do we win or do we keep the House? Yes or no?
I'm very optimistic about us keeping the House and hopefully growing our majority and doing the same in the Senate. And then we get to do incredible things in the next 2 years.
Representative Ilhan Omar, thank you so kindly for having spoken to Politics Done Right.
Thank you.
And by the way, I was the only one that her husband, which was really guarding her then. You remember what was going on in August? And I was the only one who actually got the interview. He said, find an empty room away from all of this and we'll do it. And I said, okay, I got it. But anyhow, here's the deal. Our beautiful lady out here, by the way, welcome aboard Jules Ray Winfield. Welcome aboard Lee Grant, as well as welcome aboard Stacey Potter. May Wood, I didn't have the show today. I got preempted on KPFT for a business program today, talking about the new shows that we are bringing on KPFT. So that's why you didn't hear me on there today. And but I'll be back on KPFT on Friday, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays as usual. Now, to Stacey Potter, wrong. She hates America. In that interview that I did with Ilhan, she told you exactly what should make somebody like yourself say, oh my God, Ilhan is right. She's the one here. She's one protecting the country. Those folks on January 6th, they are the ones that when you take a look at them not following the Constitution, they're not doing the things that they should. Let's be frank. Let's be frank. All right, let's see what else we got here. Someone is talking like, he's talking about regarding, I wasn't the one who said the hijab, I mean, but the truth of the matter is many don't like her because she's a Muslim, and that is the truth. And, they should get over it. This country is not founded on religious principles or having to pass some religious test. She has dealt with her anti-Semitic statements. Her anti-Semitic statements is debatable, right? I believe it or not, I've never really, because I know where my heart is, I never really have to cater my words. But it's amazing that after I said a particular something on one of my shows, a friend looked at me and said, they're going to claim that is anti-Semitic. And Lee Grant, that's not a fair choice. She has a nice guy that's her husband now. She divorced her other husband, like many people get divorces. Don't believe all the crap that you read, sir, about having a brother and all that. Don't believe all that kind of stuff. It's there to just screw with your mind. Let's see. Jules Ray says, I hate the fact that a lot of Americans, especially in this chat and on your radio show, feel like people hate America because we don't find it to be perfect as is. Those of us who want the change, Ray, are the true Americans. The Constitution says to create a more perfect union, which means it's not already perfect. We have to work towards that goal. Of course, we have to work towards that goal. When this country was founded, only 5% of the people could vote. When this country was founded, I was only 3/5 of a person. That's very evil. When this country was founded, women could not vote. That is very wrong. When this country was founded, there weren't rights for workers. When this country was founded, kids could be worked to death. We can go on and on and on and on. And what did we do in this country? We made this a better country. So please, let's be frank here. This country started on very tenuous grounds. This country started with a lot of sins. The sins of genocide, the sins of slavery, the sins of anti-Semitism, the sins of sexism, the sins of misogyny. All of that was a part of this country, and some of it was actually codified within the Constitution. But we together, those of us who love the country, we work towards making it live up to what many people have said or claimed it was, that it never was. That is what I call true patriotism. True patriotism. No Lee Grant, it's just not evil America time. It's truthful America time. There is absolutely nothing that I have just said that is incorrect and that cannot be corroborated by things that you yourself already know. Robert Davenport says, having traveled to Somalia during the height of their conflict and seen how far Ilhan Omar has climbed, I am so impressed by her. Immigrants are truly the lifeblood of America. Absolutely so. I am an immigrant as well. Proud one. Many of those original sins continue today, as Peggy Lopez says, but I have to get started with our interview. So let's go ahead and get busy, and we'll be right back. Welcome to one more edition of Politics and Run. Berto Will is your host today. We are honored to speak to Chavis Watson. And this is an interesting story. We've been talking about police brutality for some time now and the effects of it on people. However, this one hit close to home in that Mr. Watson, a member of the Houston Peace and Justice Center here in Houston, working on these issues, was once again a victim of, what should we call it, overzealous police officers. Anyhow, welcome to Politics Done Right. Chavis, how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. Still a little injured, but working through it.
All right, I tell you what, let's get started this way. Tell me a little bit about yourself before we get into what occurred to you. Tell me a little bit about who you are.
Yeah. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a business owner, a community advocate, a service provider, a project manager, that kind of thing. But against all labels, I'm a community member. I run a nonprofit. I also work with the Houston Peace and Justice Center. I'm usually between Austin, Houston, San Antonio, doing direct service projects and initiatives. How could this kind of stuff continue happening to everyday community members?
Well, let's get started with what actually occurred, because as it turns out, you're driving into town and tell a story.
So we're in North Houston, Tomball area, and I'm dropping my significant other and child off at the house. I've got a sister friend of mine in the front seat. We'd spent a couple of hours together, and so I approach a stop sign 200 to 250 feet from our street. I stop, but even to this day, if you were to come to this intersection, you'd see stuff in the yard to the right and the left. Given that this was a holiday weekend of in observance of the holiday of Christmas, there was Christmas decorations in the yard. So when I had stopped, I couldn't see around the corner to my left. This was a 4-way stop sign. As I hedged up a little bit, I saw a police officer coming from my left, having to go over 40. So initially, I did not know if he was going to stop. So I hedged up a little bit. And when I saw him slowing down, I proceeded further. As I proceeded further, I told, my colleague in the passenger seat, I think he's going to think I ran the stop sign. I proceed, further. Again, it's a short distance between the stop sign and our street. And I put my blinker on to turn left. He puts his emergency lights on. Our house is the fourth house from the turn. So I merely parked in front of the house. I waited a few seconds, maybe 5-10 seconds, and I did not see him exit the car. So I chose to exit my car. And I did this because I know my constitutional rights. The Castle Doctrine, federal statute passed in 2007, said that you have the right to protect your castle, and your castle being defined as your home, your place of business, but also your vehicle. With Philando Castile in mind and other men, killed by the police in mind, I decided to get out of my car and share the dialogue with the police officer. I didn't have any weapons, nor did I have any warrants. And so I get out of the car and I close the door and I show my hands and I yell to the police officer's car, "Hey, I don't have any drugs, any guns, any warrants. And I do not think you saw me stop back there, sir. I'd like to talk to you." A few seconds go by and he slides out of the car. I take a step up to the back seat where my significant other and child are to safeguard this door. As I noticed the police officer sliding out of the car, I also noticed the other two individuals in the car, they're looking. So we all see this police officer slide out of the car and his beanie was halfway off of his head and he didn't have any gear on, like a body camera or anything like that. And he looked either drunk, disheveled, completely unprepared, right? He says, "You need to get back in the car." I, safeguarding the back door of my car, I say, "I actually don't have to get back in the car, so I'm trying to talk to you." At this time, I was still by my car. He says, "Okay." And he doesn't say okay in a vulgar, aggressive, angered tone whatsoever. He says, "Okay," slides back in the car. The way he said okay, I thought maybe he knew that I knew my rights, so we would have this interrogation. Yeah. A few seconds go by, he slides out of the car. His beanie, is affixed and his body camera's on. He starts walking towards me, at which I decide to walk from my car and meet him in the middle of our cars. As he reaches me, arm's length, he grabs me and arrests me. I knew that resisting to the state legislator was defined as bending, shaking, rattling, rolling, moving your body, that kind of thing. So I merely embraced the arrest and I asked him, "What are you doing?" He throws me on my car. Keep in mind, he's arrested me. I still have cuts on my fingers. He's grabbed me, arrested me. I say, "What are you doing?" He throws me on my car, which rocks my car. My baby boy is in the back seat, in the car seat. Then he throws me on his car and then ushers me to the back seat, the driver's side back seat. He does not grab my head and try to lead me into the seat. He's slamming me the same way he threw me on my car and on his hood. He's slamming me into the back seat. And Egberto, I'm 6'3", when he sees that. I don't know if I want to say he sees, but he's like exhausted of that because he tries to slam me 3 times. In the video in which we posted, you see me after having been, again, slammed saying, "Sir, this is a traffic stop." After this, he reaches down and he takes my left leg from under me. I instantly fall down, Egberto, and the distance between the car and the curb had to be no more than 5 feet. I could have broken my back or my neck and instantly been killed while my family was sitting there watching, protesting. As I'm arrested, I fall into the ground, Egberto. He immediately, Constable Deputy Corey Alston of Mark Herman's Precinct 4 Harris County Constable Office, he digs his knee into my neck instantly.
Well, did you have cuffs on?
I was already cuffed. I had been cuffed for some time at this point. I had been cuffed upon the initial contact. I'd been cuffed off the initial contact. He didn't tell me, "Sir, you're under arrest." He didn't say, "Sir, you're under arrest and this is why." He just walked up, grabbed me and arrested me. And so as this has progressed where I'm, my hands are behind my back and I'm on the ground and he's got his knee into my neck, I can feel my breathing being restricted. And I'm simply trying to protest the best that I can, telling him, "You don't have the authority. I'm going to handle you, man. I know my rights," so on and so forth. My significant other is recording in shock, in complete shock. She's had to abandon the baby and run to record this because she's literally watched it as I've gotten out the car. The police officer slid out of the car, went back in the car, got out of the car, walked up to me. She's seen this whole thing.
So, time out. The police officer by then had a body cam on as well, correct? So
I then had a body camera on,
and it recorded all of this.
I don't know if it was on or not.
Okay.
I do not know.
But your significant other recorded it.
Yeah, but we'd already started recording from two different devices. But we've also got a neighbor who's got a roof camera. And so this is also captured there. And so as he's digging his knee into my neck, he's calling for backup as if, brother, I'm resisting, putting up a fight. I've merely taken this force, this brutal force, this shock, this shock of action. I surely wasn't expecting this. My colleague that was in the passenger seat, she's since up to this point seen everything. And so she runs as close as she can to the police officer trying to capture his credentials. And she's asking him, what is your name? What is your name? You don't have the authority to do this. And if you watch the video, he abrasively responds to her, her with her hands wide open, no weapons, an older woman, and not threatening him, but saying, you don't have the authority. He demands her to get back there, blah, blah, blah. He's like handling this like, he's captured a war criminal. He gets me in the car and it's no longer about the stop sign, but brother, that's why he put his emergency lights on. I thought police were supposed to put their emergency lights on, in the event of an emergency with an injured party. But he put his lights on. He throws me in the car, and now it's about the car registration not being in the front windshield. We're yelling to him, me from inside and them from outside, that I'd just been gifted this car and that we've got a black folder in the back seat with everything, with the title, with the rebuilt vehicle statement, with the insurance, copy of my driver's license, all the things. The paper tag, the paper, like the paper license plate, This exacerbates his anger. It's demeaning language to the now 3 women that are outside in the neighbor that's watching. For the next 90 minutes, it's about my car, and then they search my car.
Did they have authorization to search your car?
I was never asked to search my car. I was never asked. It was never, no officer came back to me in the backseat of the car and said, hey, we're going to search your car. We're just saying this because we need your authorization. Nothing. The arresting officer, Austin, was heard by my colleague. He said that there was an odor in the car. And so he asked his supervisor if there was, if he could establish probable cause. This had nothing to do with the traffic stop. The traffic stop was supposed to be about the stop sign. And so the arresting officer, they moved to search my car, in which I've got, a copy of Texas's traffic law and criminal criminal procedure traffic manual, that, this combination book with procedure and codes, things for my service initiatives like diapers, diaper bags, water, that kind of stuff. He comes back to the car, looks me up, and finds out that I'm a felon. He tells me, oh, you're a criminal. Yeah, you're a criminal. Some minutes after, they transport me to a gas station around the corner. The ladies had asked if I was going to jail. He said, yeah. He said he was towing the car. The car was parked in front of, our house.
Your house, yeah.
Says they're going to take me to jail. I swallow this. I've been to jail before, but I'm confused when they bring me to the gas station around the corner. They take me out of the car. Obviously, I'm still handcuffed, and I'm violently searched. My private parts are jerked, and my buttocks are stretched open. After this happens, I am then choked by Officer Austin for an extended amount of time. As I'm choked, and again, this officer is restricting my breathing, I noticed that the gas station attendant steps outside. I move my eyes and I see the lieutenant motion to the supervising officer, not the arresting officer, because he's got his hand on my neck. The gas station attendant goes back inside, and the lieutenant follows him in there. He comes back out, and I'm left in the car again for another hour before I'm transported to Harris County Jail. When I get to Harris County Jail, even though my fingers are bleeding and I'm limping, I'm not referred to any medical assistant or any medical profession. I'm asked to strip naked, take off my socks, more searching, and then I'm thrown in booking. After about 90 minutes, I move, or, I think 2 hours, I move upstairs to holding. Yeah, around 1:15, got moved to holding. And a couple of hours later, I count almost, roughly 80 people upstairs in the morning of December 25th. And over 50 people had also had a violent arrest, had, physical abrasions and scratches, bloody, that kind of thing. And I sat back and I wondered, how often did this happen in Houston between all of the police departments, the Houston Police Department, the Harris County Sheriff's Office, your constables, your Texas Rangers, your DPS agents, your FBI agents. How often were people arrested without a warrant, and there's no non-custodial or custodial interrogation that takes place? No informing of rights, no informing of arrest. How often did this happen, and how often did it result into abuse, into aggravated assault? I got out the following afternoon. I got out the following afternoon, December 25th, around 2 p.m. We went to urgent care and confirmed that I had a pulled hip and groin, a bruised clavicle, short-term memory loss, a broken finger, cut fingers, and bruised wrist.
And you were not resisting arrest?
At no point did I resist arrest.
Okay.
At no point did I bend, shake, rattle, roll, move, evade, jump. I just didn't.
Now, what happened after that? When they released you, did you see a judge?
I never saw a judge. I saw given this is my first charge in Harris County. I just saw pretrial services, and they had already affixed it for me to get a personal recognizance bond. I sat back and I wondered, Egberto, how could I get such a violent arrest
with a personal recognizance bond?
Charged with a misdemeanor that I was just like, that can't be the case. And then released from jail the next day on a Sunday, be that as it may. Now, thank God that the courts are moving like that, but instead of me hanging my head with guilt because of something I'd done, Egberto, I had the nasty smell of mass incarceration. I had the nasty smell of it, like it had just, whipped me up during a traffic stop. Again, whether I was guilty.
When did they find out that you had a record? Did they find that out when they stopped you, after they stopped you, or
after I had already been arrested?
Okay, so then that's when they went and checked pulled your record. After
they started to search my car,
and then that's when they took you to the gas station after they realized that you were in file, you had a record.
Yeah,
and then they took you to the gas station away from in sort of
away from the watchful eye of my family. Yeah,
right. Okay,
away from the neighbors who were all coming out. Yeah.
Now, do you have a court date?
So upon release, I was given an arraignment date. And so I went to court. I went to court on the 4th or the 5th. That following Friday, that same Friday, I went to court. And it was an interesting process, an interesting court process, Egberto, because I am a student of law, and not just American law, but international law and common law, and how that aligns with, or how that stands, with the American Constitution. And so I found it really interesting to had entered this arraignment, and it transformed into a probable cause hearing in which I could not participate in. And I know that, the Sixth Amendment grants me that examining trial per se. And I know that the Sixth Amendment grants me a speedy trial, that speedy meaning without unnecessary delay. And that in trial, not necessarily meaning the final trial, but the hearing date. And the Sixth Amendment also grants me a right to a lawyer. And that's not just a lawyer, but adequate counsel, effective assistance of counsel. But I also know that the Sixth Amendment grants me the liberty to exculpatory evidence. And I know based on that constitutional right that it's the prosecutor's job to observe, review, and apply any exculpatory evidence that's to be in my favor as the accused. I found it really interesting that the prosecutor could speak on behalf of the criminal complaint filed by the police officer, but the police officer was not present. And the prosecutors spoke on behalf of this criminal complaint, Egberto, that Judge Raul Rodriguez found probable cause for the arrest and denied me participation in the process, meaning I could not speak or defend or confront my accuser. I had to, on the record, accept this criminal complaint lodged against me. Egberto said that I sought out the police officer, that I was at his hood and seeking out a fight, and that me and the officer were fighting on the ground as he tried to arrest me. And I'm sitting there with a broken pinky, back spasms, Egberto.
But wait, let's, with all of that, they could claim that you got cut and all of that from resisting arrest, but you have video that shows the reality.
Have video.
And the problem is you were not able to show your video before the judge said there was probable cause.
And I know that he could have received my exculpatory evidence, reviewed it, and dismissed the case right there.
So where are we now with the case?
So I've been reset to February 6th, to give me time to reconcile some of my legal obligations, such as if I decide to hire legal counsel, subpoena any records that I may want, subpoena any evidence that I may need that's not, on my own device, and figure out how in the next hearing we can meet the burden before us and get a dismissal on all charges. I was set with bond conditions, and Judge Rodriguez set me just one bond condition, and that's not having any firearms. But I tried to express to the judge that this was foolish altogether because I've got an actual civil rights complaint. Judge, you see this sling on my pinky, and so I felt violated. I felt un-American. I felt second rate. I'm there. I'm ready. I've got the officer asked the judge asked the prosecutor if there was any OR. I'm sitting there like, we've got the OR.
What's an OR?
We've got the official recording.
Got it.
I thought about Darius Elam, who'd been, hooked and booked in the Harris County criminal justice system and has since served 40 years in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for a charge he's innocent of. I thought of Anthony Graves.
On death row.
Hooked and booked through the same Harris County Criminal Justice Center and served 18 years on death row. I thought about these guys like there's no voting your way out of that.
So what do we do now? What are your plans right now?
So we've got a petition going in which we are asking for solidarity throughout communities around the world that stand against police violence, police murder, police brutality, but also prosecutorial misconduct and criminality, judicial error. We want to be able to show this petition and speak to the data within this petition to Lena Hidalgo when she returns back from special leave, Rodney Ellis, Adrian Garcia, but specifically Leslie Briones, who is the newly elected Precinct 4 commissioner.
For your precinct. For
the precinct in which, my family lives in. We'd like to speak to them about how, sure, I've got pain, suffering, and damages, physical damages, and this is immaterial to the emotion of Houstonians far and wide that are simply tired of this nature of interaction from such an expensive police department. People are just tired of hearing that these are the outcomes. People are tired of thinking that they've got to be nervous with the police. And so we're also seeking to use this petition and other advocacy to influence policymakers
So, Chivas, where do we go from here? What are your plans to turn your mishap into a positive for the community at large?
For sure. That's a great question. Like I said, we've got a petition running that's existed for a little over a week. We've had nearly 3,000 signatures from around the world of community members who are tired of police abuse, violence, murder, prosecutorial misconduct, criminality, judicial error, legal corruption. We want to use the data from this petition, not the personal identifying data, but the demographic data, the research data, the participatory data, and meet with Harris County operators such as Lena Hidalgo, Rodney Ellis, Adrian Garcia, but specifically Leslie Briones, who oversees Precinct 4, in which the Mark Herman Constable office resides in. I'd say we'd like to meet with the city of Houston, but the city of Houston simply doesn't move on police violence whatsoever. So we're going to use this legislative time in the 88th legislature to use this petition and other advocacy efforts, such as our press conferences, amplifying that Harris County police are abusive, but so many other police departments and police officers are abusive. We're going to hold press conferences like we, throughout the state. We had one in Houston this past Friday in front of the Harris County Criminal Justice Center. We'll have one in Austin this Friday in front of the Austin Police Department. And then we'll also have one in Bexar County in San Antonio the following Friday in downtown San Antonio.
Now, how was the attendance at the Houston press conference?
The Houston the Houston press conference was legitimately attended by Houstonians who care. We had representation from local nonprofits such as Effective Revisions, the Houston Peace and Justice Center, Black Gold Nation, the Honey Brown Hope Foundation, other individual community members that stand against solitary confinement, in different justice reform issues.
Did any of the Houston media show up?
The Houston media informed us that they would, and they did not.
None of them showed.
None of them showed.
Amazing. Well,
Fox 26 had indicated interest, as well as ABC 13, as well as the Houston Chronicle, and nobody showed up. But it's all good because we didn't necessarily do it for that. We did it to get the message out and to share it far and wide. And so, we've got the content from the press conference. We've got feedback from other community members, and we're going to keep the show rolling. Like I said, here in Austin this week, in San Antonio the week after. We are looking to file state and federal complaints upon the police officer and the police department, and see this misdemeanor charge that I've gained, see this through to a complete dismissal of charges. Well,
Chivas, let me tell you, we are going to include with this interview and with some of the other documentation that you've sent me, the videos that actually corroborates what you are saying. I find it amazing that with all the data that you have, including the videos, that the mainstream media the quote unquote mainstream media has not taken an interest into this case, which should have been apropos. Now, we're also going to make sure that this gets some coverage within the independent media, because again, I think, as you said earlier, people are tired of an abusive force. And again, it's irrespective of everything else. Every person that is stopped should be treated exactly as if it's the first time they've ever been stopped, and following the laws that govern exactly how our society should go. Give me a 30-second closer, sir.
Aside from my name, my sexuality, my profession, I'm simply a community member, and I don't want to live in a Houston. Egberto, I don't want to live in a Houston where we can't talk to police officers, that police officers can't simply talk to us. I don't want to live in a Houston or anywhere where everyday working citizens, their behaviors are assumed by the police, and we're preyed upon and jumped upon. I want a fair and equitable procedure and outcome from what the police are supposed to do in our communities. But I'd also like that to be, translated through the prosecutor's office and through the judicial bench. I'd like folks to eliminate blind spots uphold people's rights and establish transformative outcomes for people in the criminal and civil justice system, rather than restrict, penalize, and destroy people's lives, no matter if it's a traffic stop or it's a civil hearing, people's lives being destroyed. I don't think that's what we as property tax payers, we invest into the local infrastructure for. I don't think these are the outcomes that we invest in. So,
thank you so kindly, Chavis Watson. We absolutely. So, Chavis, like I said, he serves on the board with us at the Houston Peace and Justice Center. Look, he's no saint. He's done his time. He's making himself a better person, etc. What drives me crazy is we try. There are people who've had a hard time in life, and they've made some mistakes. We've tried to work with their mistakes and then say, we want you to come into society and do a positive. That's what this brother did. He came back into society and he worked in the criminal justice system, and he worked to get people to lift themselves up, etc. And again, like I said, I worked with this guy. Evidently, my brother here, Ray, has also worked with him here in the Houston area. And to see that how the police officers have that animalistic way of doing it. It's just like what they did to the guy in Tennessee, right? In fact, Tyree Nichols beat him to a pulp, murdered him. And, it's interesting because it shows you that it's a systemic issue. But, it's funny because those 5 officers in Tennessee, their freedom is over. Right? Their freedom is over. Because if there's one thing they should learn, is that there are 2 criminal justice systems. And when they are on the other side of the criminal justice system, they will be in the criminal justice system that destroys POCs. Because guess what? Ultimately speaking, that's the treatment they will get. That's just the reality of life. Notice what happens when police officers are convicted and which police officers get convicted. They pay their dues and move on. Bless them. Bridge MCP, let's see what else Bridge has to say. Para ver. Okay, I've got one other video that I want to show you. I have a few minutes here that I want to do it. And this has to do with George Santos. I mean, this guy, I tell you, trips me out. I can't get enough of him. Check this out. Well, you know what? Donald Trump did very well. He created the art of, a lot of people lie. And when they're caught, they are apologetic about it. And, they have to change what they're doing. They change their ways, at least temporarily. Well, what Donald Trump proved is, it doesn't matter if people know you're lying, you can keep on lying. And those who know you're lying but are of your ilk, they let it slide. Oh, that's Donald Trump. And he also taught that there are some who want to be willfully misinformed. Well, that is now the official modus operandi of the Republican Party. And henceforth, they got a master in George Santos, who came representing New York. What he has proven is that he's learned everything that Donald Trump has taught with regards to lying, and he just does not care. And even as they pull things up on him, it's interesting because the last one he has says he had an interview with I think it's a Brazilian blogger journalist. I tell you what, why don't you listen to this and then we'll take it on the other side.
That interview also brought us this moment of exquisite irony, where Santos, obviously comes from a family of immigrants, talks about undocumented immigrants.
eu incentivo extremamente as pessoas que querem vir para cá a fazer, mas eu também incentivo que isso seja feito de forma correta, porque eu acho assim, imagina você iniciar um relacionamento com uma mentira, ou com fazendo uma coisa errada, né? Então eu acho que não é beneficente nem para mim, nem para você, né, nesse relacionamento.
Imagine starting a relationship with a lie.
So yes, according to Santos, he said in Portuguese, so imagine starting a relationship with a lie or something, or someone doing something wrong, right? So I don't think it's beneficial for me or for you in said relationship. So he lied his teeth out to become a congressman. Will he live by his own words? Of course not. Doesn't have to. Donald Trump proves that people that want your ilk in power, whether you lie or not, they just don't care. The question is, are enough people willing to remain that way throughout the rest of our history going forward to allow a whole bunch of folk into office that have the interests of just a few at hand? And in doing so, the implicit destruction of the country. The implicit destruction of the country. All right, folks, it is that time. We're at 56. Please support our program. Those of you that are on YouTube, please go ahead and click that join button. Become a part of our PDR posse. I know if you guys met me once a month or whatever, you wouldn't mind saying, Egberto, let's go have a coffee. So please let us have a coffee or two from you. You can support us in many different ways. You can support us at PayPal by going to politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. You can support us by becoming a patron, and we need a lot of patrons. If you would find it so kind to become a part of our patron team, that's politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. If you're not on YouTube but you want to subscribe to YouTube, that would be politicsdoneright.com/YouTube. You can go to our store to purchase our t-shirts or hats, all the great stuff that we sell to support the show here by going to politicsdoneright.com/store, politicsdoneright.com/store. And of course, the books that you see scroll all the times around our show, you can get our books at politicsdoneright.com/books. Remember, we also have all of our blogs, either at egbertowillies.com or you can find it at Medium, which is at politicsdoneright.com/Medium, politicsdoneright.com/Mediums. All our blogs, etc. are there. And you can subscribe to our newsletter, the Substack newsletter at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. And of course, you can find all the links to find whichever way is best, easiest, more comfortable for you to support a program like this that's trying to make a difference, informing, not misinforming, informing, not disinforming, informing, not lying. You can find all our links for support at politicsdoneright.com/support. politicsdoneright.com/support. Let's see if any final words anybody wants me to mention here. What we got, para ver if there's anything that Jules Ray Winfield says. I'm particularly partial to the type of work Chavis is doing because I believe the best way to create a more equitable society is to reform the justice system so that people of color have the same opportunity to move forward from a mistake as Americans born in a white middle-class family with connection does. That is so true. That's all everybody wants. Equal access to success, not equal outcomes. Equal access to the law and equal outcomes from the law. In other words, if both of us are doing cocaine, our judgment should be comparable. That's all we're asking for. No better, no worse. My girl, Alistair Waters, let me break in for showing that she got our hat and I didn't see her messaging. If you guys are still here, are you guys still here? Alistair Waters with the hat. I'll make sure to play it, put it on tomorrow as well. Alistair Water has the hat. Thank you very much, Alistair. That is great. Anyway, folks, I'll be going out of here one more time. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.